can't spell success without you. PowerPlan Project presents Escaping Diabetes Type 2. Thoughts on my third-year test?
Hello there, and welcome back to the channel. Today it's November. In fact, with all what's happening with COVID, it's actually late November. Now, November for me always brings back really bad memories. It's because this month I actually got diagnosed with diabetes type 2. Now, going back a few years ago, I was quite literally went to the doctors. They literally just looked at you and went, "You're diabetic." And on that diagnosis, we decided to give it 3 months to see if it's possible to actually escape the condition using dieting or traditional diets. I went home, I'd been out for a meal at the weekend with a mate, had a really nice time. Went home absolutely devastated, especially when I know people who have actually suffered from diabetes type 2. I know what sort of position you can be in, shall we say, in a very, very short period of time. Equally, when I was at home, I had the proof of my book, We Can't Spell Success Without You, which I looked at and I thought, why not? And the reason why I thought that was very simply, back in 2009 and going into 2010, I had a small group which tried the concept, tried the ideas of the book, which is simply using 17 habits to create a brand new, healthy, easy to maintain lifestyle. I remember that there's people in that group who was diabetic and they started to act with far more energy than normal, and over time they came off medication and enjoyed, a diabetes-free life. So looking at my book, I decided to try it, and we got results very, very quickly. As in, for the first 12 weeks, within 12 weeks, the reading had gone from diabetic right the way down to impaired. And then on a 18-week check, it had gone back to normal. Now, a year later, it was still at normal. And then last year, which was the second year check, it was still within the normal. And what was interesting, over the last 2 years, it was 41, which is just in the normal, which is great. You're not impaired. You're not at risk of diabetes. Equally, I'm overweight and decided to keep my weight to a heavy level, because obviously it's going to be far easier for people to say, well, you've lost weight. Therefore, it's nothing to do with your book or your ideas or your habits. It's just simply you've lost weight, and by losing weight, you can reverse diabetes type 2, or you can reverse the condition. So now we're in 2020 and it's time for the third year test. Obviously in 2020 there's been a number of issues, including COVID, and with COVID it's made it so that, we basically stayed in. I'm living in Greater Manchester. We've stayed in practically for 10 months. It's really, really difficult. We need exercise to control diabetes type 2. We also need to avoid a lot of carbohydrate food, which is really difficult because when you're locked in, you're just looking for comfort. You don't want to get depressed. You're constantly within the 4 walls. So snacking and overeating is definitely on the cards. And for a person like me who really just look at food and put weight on, it's a bit of a nightmare. And if you add this along with exercise, so if you've been following the channel, you know that I do actually suffer from spinal DDD, or spinal disc disease, which means that if I'm out and about exercising, even just doing walking, I can do it for a small period of time. But if you've got one exercise period, the max I can do was probably about 15 minutes. It'd be great if I could do the hour, so that way you're getting quite a bit of exercise in. But really, if you're just doing 15 minutes, you're actually going to get the heart rate going. Never mind have a good exercise session where you can actually lose weight. So really, on this alone, my big issue, or my big worry, is that now I need to do a third year diabetes test. If you're not as active, still active, but not as active as what you can be, and equally if you're eating some of the wrong foods just to comfort yourself, what's the chances of actually being still normal around 41? It's a worry. You know, the test hasn't been done yet. I'd expect to either be back into the diabetes range or maybe in pre-diabetic range, just for the simple fact is that we have actually been in lockdown. And like I say, we have actually been in lockdown for a very, very, very long time. However, looking on the bright side, we're here, we're surviving this COVID-19 pandemic, and at least I'm around to do the test, which is a wonderful thing. But I can't stress enough, you know, it'd be nice to get a third year clear result. But the reality is, you know, odds are against you. When you're in lockdown, odds are against you, especially once you've had diabetes, even if it's going back 3 years ago. But the next thing what really worries me is past successes of diabetes via diet. So going back a number of years ago, we've had in the press people saying I've reversed my diabetes type 2, and you know, it's been all over the newspapers, or even just people doing it privately on YouTube, similar to this video, to say that I've gone onto a diet, never really disclosed the diets, which has always been a little bit of interest. But they've gone on a diet and that they've managed to reverse the diabetes type 2, or equally people taking diabetes type 2 medication have reduced it because of the diet and lifestyle change. The thing that worries me is that simply now, 3 years in, is I can't find any people who's done a year on update, finding 2 years update. You know, I can't find any of those. And then equally, this is a third year test or a third year update. And once again, it seems impossible to find any other person that's achieved this. If you know different, let me know. Email or put it in the comments. If you was diabetic and now you're no longer on medication, or if you was pre-diabetic or diabetic, you managed to escape the medication by using a diet, and you've gone past your 2 or 3 year test successfully, as in your HbA1c level was 41 or under, then let me know which diet that you was on, how long it's been working for you, and you know, I would actually find this information extremely interesting. But just before the pandemic, I did actually have a bit of a catch up with the NHS, and what they said was probably even more worrying, you know, and this was just before COVID-19. So then really they just said the odds are against you. So I'm going to chat with the NHS was basically saying, you know, I've gone through 2 years now. I spoke to the doctor and the HbA1c reading is 41. It has been for a couple of years, which means that it's now stable. And being stable is probably more important than reducing it further. And that to me was really comforting, that we're doing the right thing, that the book really works. We're not on a diet, we're following the 17 habits, and they seem to be, you know, regulating the body, as what Dr. Jesse said many years ago. And, you know, as proven at that point to give you an escape from diabetes type 2, which is wonderful. The response from the NHS was quite interesting. It was, you know, basically we've had many people that have been diabetic and we've asked them to go on diet as we have with you. And what we found is that majority of the people, around 30%, don't succeed in the first 3 months. And the reason why is because people seek out diets, or they might go on the diabetes type 2 diet and they find it difficult to maintain and really struggle with it. So within the first 12 weeks, a lot of people have actually stopped with the diet and medication has begun for diabetes type 2. So I found this really interesting because, as I've said in the past, if you're on a typical diet, then the diet's going to last 5 to 6 weeks. Most people will do it just by saying, I want to go on holiday, I want to go to a wedding. As soon as that has been achieved, you know, I want to lose a stone in the next 5 or 6 weeks, so I can get back into my favourite dress, or I'm going to look good on the beach. And that's when people stop dieting, and that is a massive issue. So people traditionally will diet for 6 weeks. To get to 12 weeks, they are going to really struggle. So with what I do, I find it quite easy. I'm not actually on a diet. Most of what I'm doing is just following these habits, eat what you want, and it's great. So the next comment really is that there's a small percentage of people that would test negative for diabetes type 2 in the first 12 months. After that, they've been dieting for that amount of time, and a small percentage would actually escape medication. But around, I'm sure I quoted, about 97% of people within the first year would be on medication. Equally, within the second year, a lot of people on various diets get bored. They just think, well, I'm out the woods now, diabetes is normal, I'm not really going to take this as serious. And then when they do the second year test, the diabetes is back, which accommodates for 99.3% of people, which is quite a lot. And the person I'm speaking to is diabetic themselves. They've been on the diet, an NHS worker, and then other NHS workers have been on a diet and have actually got back to normal, or at least impaired. And what they found is that now they're actually on medication, and they know professionally is that they need to maintain the diet, and that's what they continue to do. It kind of came across as a bit of self-bribery with them. You know, my HbA1c is, I don't know, 53, but if I can get it down to 36, I can have a jam tart. You know, and that's my goal. That's my ultimate treat. If we can get this down to 36, then the jam tart is mine. I'll be happy that, you know, I'm out of danger from having diabetes type 2. And when he looked at me and he just said, so when was the last time you had a jam tart, Steve? Because obviously you're not. And I just replied back saying, well, actually I did about 2 weeks ago. And all of this kind of concluded in two ways, really. One, it's be very, very, very careful, because, you know, if you're eating that sort of food, then to get through, you know, a third year negative diabetes test, it's going to be really, really difficult. And equally, you know, you don't want to suffer from the condition. So take it serious. And luckily, I do. But once again, mixing up the NHS feedback along with COVID that's happened this year, you know, I am nervous, very, very nervous of this test. And, you know, in fact, the test is done. I've already been phoned up the lab, made an appointment, went over there, got it done, and now just waiting for the results. But obviously, I'm quite worried because a lot of people, in fact, I was looking on the internet yesterday, I can't find anybody else with an all clear 3 for diabetes type 2, and with everything else that's been going on with COVID and everything. It's, you know, it is a worry. There is, obviously, hope at the end of the tunnel. So my biggest hope is really the 2009 to 2010 group, because we had 5 people, there was 6 in total, 1 dropped out, and 5 people went to the doctors and reduced the diabetes medication. And as far as I'm aware, all 5 people are now still diabetes free. Now, this is going back now over 11 years. But if this is the case, then obviously using the 17 habits in the PowerPlan book do work, and they do work long term. Now, I would say being in lockdown, if it's a traditional diet, which it's not, it's just a simple, easy lifestyle change that anybody can do. But if it was a simple diet, then I would expect to be diabetic again. However, it's not. It's a new lifestyle change. It's something that you can do every day. It's something you don't get bored of. And it's something that people's been doing for 11 years prior to the book release. So this does give me confidence. But like most things, the only way you can find out is by actually and simply getting the test and getting the test results. And that will be in a few days' time. So I will do a follow-up video. We always say like and subscribe, but if you want to know if I made it past the 3rd year test successfully, which for me is just 41 or below, that's a successful test. 41 in a funny sort of way might be better, with the doctor saying that stability is better than it being lower. I'm hoping that everything's going to work out. Equally, people out there what's got diabetes type 2, I know that life can really get on top of you without COVID, so just keep going. And people that are now feeling the pinch because it's 9 months in, what we've got to do is think in the COVID-19 situation, is that vaccines are around the corner. Yes, we're going to have a crappy Christmas, but at the end of the day, if we can get vaccinated in the next 2 months, then we've got many more to follow, which are going to be far happier Christmases. From my position, if I get a all clear for the 3rd diabetes type 2 test, then it's going to be one of the best Christmases ever. And I mean that because not seeing people is going to be a chore and it's upsetting. But, you know, it's a massive achievement. It's a massive achievement for anybody. But we will see. So thank you for watching this video. It's probably going on for a little while. So thank you for getting to the end. So thank you for watching for this long, and we will see you soon with the result. Until then, take care and be safe. And we will see you soon.
If you have enjoyed this video, then please provide your support by liking this video and subscribing to this YouTube channel. If you are watching on Facebook, then please like and share this video with your family and friends. And as always, thank you for viewing.